All right, so I promised that I was going to check out a method of animating using Google Slides and get back to you guys as to whether or not it was doable. It is doable. It is very work intensive, so I would like for you to watch this movie, kind of get a sense of the work involved, and then see if it's something that you would like to tackle. So to begin, what I'd like for everybody to do, I would like for you to go ahead and draw the character that you would like to animate. You're going to need a body, you're going to need maybe some different arms, you're going to need a head, and you're going to need a few different expressions. Make sure to draw a mouth that is open and a mouth that is closed so that you can animate that person talking. You're going to draw this in your sketchbook. You can do it on one page or on a couple of pages. And then you're going to take a really good photo of it, preferably with your phone. You can also probably do it with your MacBook. Just make sure that the photo is really clear and straight on so that there's no distortion to your characters so they don't turn like really tall or really wide or anything like that. So once you've taken the photo, you're going to need to upload it to your Google Drive. If your phone is not hooked up to your school email, if you can't directly download it to Google Drive from there, go ahead and just email that photo to your school address and then save it to Google Drive from there. Once it's in Google Drive, you can download it to your computer and then you'll be able to edit it with the steps that I'm going to go through next. So once you've uploaded your picture, you're going to put it on your desktop and you are going to double click it to get into your MacBook's graphics editor. I have right here all the pieces. I have the body, the arms, the head, I have some different expressions. All of these pieces are going to be pasted together to create my animation. So what I need to do now, I need to make several different copies of this same picture because I want each piece of the body of my person that I'm going to be animating on a different file. I counted up, I've got I think about 8 different limbs, heads, expressions, bodies that I need to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make 8 copies of that file. So as soon as I did this, I realized that I had not yet edited my original file. It's much easier if you edit your original file first, so that's what we're going to do now. I deleted those. Now I'm going back and I'm going to go into that little triangle in your image editor to change the exposure, bring it up to make it brighter, change the contrast, make the darker parts darker and the lighter parts lighter, and bring the saturation way down to make this a black and white image. That's only if you want to use a black and white image. If you're using a color image, you might want to go the other direction, make it more saturated. All right, so now I'm going back through and I'm making my 8 copies that I wanted to make originally. Once I've got all those copies, I'm going to start editing each individual piece. I'm going to crop in the picture. For example, here I've got this arm. I'm going to crop around the arm, hit the toolbox, press crop, and then I'm going to use that magic wand to select, just as we did with our advertising unit, I'm going to select the area around the arm and turn that into a transparent PNG. So the arm is going to be an image, but I'm not going to see that white background. Instead, it is going to be a transparent background, and that is what is going to allow me to animate this in Google Slides, is that transparency. For the sections of the face, it's easiest just to take the little lasso tool from that selection menu. So click on that rectangle selector, go down to the lasso selection, and just do a little circle around the area of face you want. Make sure to crop it in nice and tight so that you will be able to paste, like for example, that mouth and that mustache directly over Dolly's face. Um, Once you've done that, you've selected just that little circle, you can hit crop, and that will then take out the background and turn it into another transparent PNG. So as I'm doing this, I realize the only body that I have has arms attached, and that's going to look really funny if Dolly has more than one set of arms. He would probably appreciate it, but I am not going to do that to him. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a copy of the body where I remove the arms that I originally drew on. Keep in mind those extra sets of arms, I drew them with his body position in mind. So now that I have this armless body, I should be able to snap the additional arms that I drew right onto the sides and give him different poses depending on what he's doing in my animation at the time. So here's my background. It is just an image of a museum wall that I got from a royalty-free website. You can find these images, you can make your own, you can take different royalty-free images and combine them to create your background. I also stuck one of Dolly's paintings on the wall so that it would work with what we are doing, basically. So now that I have my background, kind of my set as it were, I'm now going to go in and I'm going to start bringing in those bits and pieces of Dali so that I can animate him. So I want to have a good entrance. I'm going to start with the figure partway off the side of the page. I need to now attach his head to his body, so we're going to do that. I'm going to size down the head until I think it is proportional to the body. I mean, I can make it a little bit bigger for a kind of cartoonish look. Also, something to keep in mind, when I drew my neck, I did not close off the top of the neck, and so the inside of the neck turned transparent as well. So just a thought, if you want your character to have a neck, maybe draw a line at the top so it looks like a headless character, because then you can pop the head on and the neck will stay the color you wanted it to be. It won't turn transparent. So right now I'm just adjusting the character, figuring out where he needs to be on the page. And I end up scooting him off the edge of the page because I want him to make a good entrance. So keep in mind with animation, you're showing like tiny little movements. And each movement is going to be really like a fraction of a second. So right now I've got just a little hand on the edge of my Google slide, and I'm going to take a screenshot of that. And that's my very first image. Google Slides work really well for videos because they're the same ratio, more or less. So now I'm going to take Dolly, I'm going to scoot him over. I'm going to count how many times I scoot him over so that I can kind of get a smooth transition. I think I ended up going like 6 taps to the right each time. So now I'm going to screenshot that. I continue to move him like 6 taps to the right and then screenshot again until his figure is entirely on the page to the place that I want him to begin speaking. Dolly is now in position to begin talking about his artwork, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put his armless body now in the frame so that I can change up what his arms are doing. It might take a little bit of working around to get the body the exact same size if you originally used a body with arms, so maybe take a tip from me and just have all your bodies and all your arms separate. Hey look, no arms. Alright, so now I'm going to take my arm that is kind of resting on his hip, I'm going to size it down, put it in the right place, and then I'm going to use that arrange, that command with the arrow down a few times to put that arm in the background. Now his arm that's closer to us is probably going to be in the foreground, and this will look nice because once I get it the right size, this hand is going to be sitting on his hip and overlapping his body. It'll look really natural. Alright, so now that I've changed his body, I want my character to begin speaking. So I'm going to start bringing in some different mouths. Essentially, you want a mouth that is open and a mouth that is closed. I'm going to take this frown and turn it upside down, also size it down, and put that on Dali's face. Again, you're going to have to resize it a few times, move it around to figure out how it's going to look like an open mouth in the right part of the face. and I'm going to screenshot this. Make sure that you do a few different screenshots with the mouth open and closed, maybe one more expression. These are going to be your key elements. Being able to change these things up is really going to make your character look like he or she is talking. Between that and the movement of the arms up and down, you can really animate a character with not a lot of frames because you're going to be reusing many of these frames again and again. So now comes the part where I thought I was recording, but it ended up I was not. So you guys just kind of get to see the aftermath. I'm going to take each of those screenshots that I did and I'm going to pull them into iMovie. Once they're in iMovie, you want to make these clips really super short. When I pulled them in, it saved them automatically as 4 seconds, and I cannot remember how to edit the time of each clip just by typing it in iMovie. Hopefully you guys will remember how. So you can also edit them just by dragging the clips to make them smaller. So that's what I ended up doing. Each clip is between 0.02 and 0.04 seconds, I believe, and that seems to make a fairly smooth animation. When you get your character, for example, remember how I was sliding Dali onto the page? So I did that, and once I have that, I want to make sure that his mouth is moving and that he's talking. And at that point, it's pretty good because you are then able to just basically put an open mouth frame right next to a closed mouth frame, copy that a bunch of times, maybe edit the speed of each clip a tiny bit, like maybe one clip is 2 seconds, one is 3, one is 4, and you just vary that a lot. And that motion makes it look like his mouth is moving. Again, you can throw in a few other expressions just to kind of liven it up, but overall, that's how you animate a character. There's a lot more you can do, but obviously this is very time consuming, so I think this is probably a good place to leave off, see if this is something that you would like to tackle, or if you want to go in a different direction. However, I would love to see somebody try this. So if this is something you want to do, let's go for it. 8 Spanish artists. Yay! It is I, Salvador Dali, greatest artist in the world.